Major news coming out of WWE this morning as Triple H has announced that Survivor Series will now be War Games. Also, major news coming out of the WWE in regards to this White Rabbit mystery. Is it Bray Wyatt? Is it Karrion Kross? Is it somebody else that we have not mentioned yet? But the mystery seemingly has been solved. And additional information on why Roman Reigns and Logan Paul has been booked for Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia per Dave Meltzer. All this, plus so much more right here on OTS Extra. Why has Triple H been so successful? Why is Triple H running WWE better than Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard on Monday and Friday night? Long-term booking. What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. I got a little bit of extra for you. It is September 19th, 2022. I am JD from New York, as always, coming to you from the OTS Beer Garden. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on your Mondays, wherever you may be. We got major news, guys. I'm not going to waste any more of your time, but quickly follow me on social media for all the latest updates and when I upload and go live on YouTube at JD from NY206. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Links are down below in the description. Hit that thumbs up. I need 1,000 likes minimum on today's OTS Extra. Hit that subscribe button as well. Turn on the bell for notifications. And be aware, this Wednesday, live in New York City, I will be having a AEW Dynamite meet and greet VIP meetup right before Grand Slam, 3 p.m. at the Woodlot in Woodside, New York on Woodside Avenue. Make sure you guys come on out. It's going to be a great time, and we can hang out, drink a couple of glasses of whiskey, talk pro wrestling, get ready and excited for Dynamite. That is 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Make sure you guys show up. It should be a ton of fun. Major news coming out of WWE, and I don't want to really shrug my own ego here, man, but fucking pay me. Pay me. I called this the night of SummerSlam when I went live with the OTS post show. I said as soon as Bayley, Io Shirai, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai were in the ring, and you got that sense, and then even more so, the very next night on Monday Night Raw, where we seen Bianca Belair and Asuka and Alexa Bliss and this faction warfare seemingly brewing in the WWE. I called it that weekend. I said I would not be surprised if Triple H, now taking over full-time in WWE as far as head of creative is concerned, I won't be surprised if we see War Games come back to the WWE. And what a perfect time to do it at Survivor Series. That's the news that broke today. Triple H has confirmed that Survivor Series is set to have not one, but 2 War Games matches this year at Survivor Series in Boston. This was first reported by me, The Ringer. The iconic 2-ring match stipulation will return to WWE main roster for the November 26th Premium Live event. Triple H told The Ringer this, and I quote, "We'll have a War Games match for the men and women. The tradition of the Survivor Series has ebbed and flowed and changed slightly over time, but this will be similar to that. This will not be Raw versus SmackDown. It will be much more storyline driven. I still look at it as a traditional component to the Survivor Series in there because it's large teams of people competing. We just upped the ante a little bit with War Games, and I made it evolve," end quote. Now, War Games under Triple H during the black and gold era of NXT, War Games returned to NXT in 2017 at the NXT TakeOver War Games event. The brand's most recent bout under the stipulation took place at NXT War Games 2021, which was a fucking joke, in November with Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo, and Carmelo Hayes defeating Johnny Gargano, Max Dupree, which was LA Knight, Butch, Pete Dunne, and Tommaso Ciampa. So it was new school NXT 2.0 versus NXT Black and Gold. I liked the theme of the match. The fact that it took place inside the Performance Center, that's just a completely different story that I don't even want to rant about. That's just sad that it took place inside the Performance Center. This is the latest major change creatively following Triple H taking over as head of creative for Vince McMahon after he retired in July. Triple H currently acts as the chief content officer of WWE. Every content that is widely available for WWE goes through Triple H. I don't want to sit here and tell you I told you so, but I told you so. This makes absolute sense. This is the most perfect creative decision, and I mean that pertaining to the Survivor Series only. For years, WWE has gotten away with doing double pay-per-views in the month of October, going to Saudi, booking for that, wasting our TV time to book for that, and then foolishly booking Survivor Series the way that they did because they were able to get away with the creative, lazy booking that Survivor Series gave them. All it was Raw vs. SmackDown. All it was, let me pick the top 5 guys on Raw, let me pick the top 5 guys on SmackDown, and let's put them in a big match with absolutely nothing to fight for. Worst case scenario, WWE would do a draft in October and then draft people who've been on Raw for years to SmackDown and then claim, oh yeah, that person has to have brand loyalty. They are now operating for SmackDown and they're fighting for the rights of SmackDown. Give me a break. Give me a break. That was so stupid and so lame. Champion versus champion matches. We'd get world title versus world title. Nothing on the line. Nothing as it pertains to the draft. Nothing as it pertains to the Royal Rumble. No brand got the advantage over the other. They used to keep a scorecard as if it meant fucking anything. Some years they had GMs, the acting GMs, get on their brand's case. Hey, you need to win Survivor Series. It means everything to us. Meanwhile, WWE didn't do anything to show you how important it was during the year. And then after all of that happened, the very next night on Monday Night Raw, it was a forgotten story. Absolutely ridiculous. The champion versus champion matches at Survivor Series meant absolutely nothing to the company. It was basically their free card out of creatively doing anything. It's almost as if they gave themselves a vacation. It booked itself. This is the right way to go about it. Now, what Triple H is doing is, A, he gives Survivor Series some meaning. There is now true meaning to the Survivor Series. This plays into long-term booking as well, because what you've seen on television coming out of Survivor Series and what you see right now with the Bloodline and Damage Control, these are the 2 biggest factions right now for the men and women on WWE television. So you know that both of these factions will be prominent inside the War Games matches. Long-term booking. So Triple H is not only making Survivor Series more important and giving Survivor Series that Survivor-esque feeling. Now he's got long-term booking coming into play, and he's operating the Survivor Series under no brand split. Basically, it's still a brand split, but it's not going to be present like it was in the Vince McMahon era. It's not going to be Raw versus SmackDown. It's going to be feuds that are already taking place on television with a mixture of everything. So it's operating as if there is a brand split, but there's not really a brand split. We see the Usos on Raw. We see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on SmackDown. We see the Street Profits going to Raw. We see a bunch of different things going back and forth. Damage Control now is on SmackDown. They're the tag team champions. It's almost as if there is a brand split, but there really isn't a brand split. But the stories make sense, and they're all cohesively coming together with all the talents involved cohesively coming together. This is a beautiful thing. Now, honestly, I would love if there's no brand split, but if they're going to operate this and still make sense of it, I don't think there really is any room to complain about what Triple H is doing. This is absolutely fantastic. It eliminates everything that Survivor Series was in the past. The formula was outdated. It was very just old school. There was nothing on the line as it pertains to the match. Now this ups the ante, and it's going to give the main roster something to really sink its teeth into. And how long have we been crying for something like this to happen once a year? Once a year. This is awesome. I love everything about this. Survivor Series, once a year, you know that it's going to be War Games. That show needed something as a staple to say, this is our event. This is Survivor Series. What was Survivor Series doing that meant anything to anybody? You got your SummerSlam, biggest party of the summer. You got your WrestleMania, biggest wrestling show in the industry all year. The Royal Rumble is the catalyst to get WrestleMania season started. Money in the Bank, you know, they wanted to think that was a big 5 pay-per-view. They made it seem like a big 5 pay-per-view, but it really never went anywhere. It was, again, lazily, creatively booked. Survivor Series now has basically moved ahead Money in the Bank and now is once again solidly a top 4 pay-per-view for WWE with this slight creative change. Vince McMahon did not want to do War Games because it wasn't his concept. Vince McMahon didn't want to do War Games because it wasn't a WWE constructed idea, and he was always shying away from that. Triple H is a lover of the old school. Triple H wants to bring this old school feel and this old school mentality. What is old is new to the main roster, and he's starting it with War Games. And if we know anything about Triple H, the War Games matches that he did in NXT with the black and gold, they were awesome. Slightly different take on it, but they were awesome nonetheless. It's going to be very interesting to see what WWE now does with Triple H and War Games on the main roster. Are we going to get the open cage? Remember, the NXT War Games matches had the open cage, which gave the match a little bit more of a chaotic feel. Things were being done on top of the cage. Finishes were happening on top of the cage. You know, it opens up a whole Pandora's box, per se, to the War Games matches. It gave WWE War Games, but with a slightly different take. Now, I honestly feel like Tony Khan has done the War Games matches great. We've had 2 Blood and Guts matches. That's their name for the War Games matches. This year, the Blood and Guts match was fucking fantastic. Happened on Dynamite. Obviously, it was the Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club. It was phenomenal. The year before that, we got the Pinnacle versus Jericho's group. And it was a little bit of a silly environment because I think everybody just vividly remembers Chris Jericho falling off the top of the cage onto a bunch of sort of perfect sleepers out there. So it looked ridiculous. But 80%, 90% of the match was fucking booked beautifully. So I loved all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see what Triple H does with the War Games. I would love if they actually go back and do the cages with the tops. I just think it adds to the overall environment and the chaotic feel. You know, WWE wants to put their own spin on it, but this is WWE's chance to really just kind of engulf themselves in the old school. And I love the contained violence. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it. But if you guys want my early predictions for who's going to be in the War Games matches, it's very easy to see that Damage Control and the Bloodline are going to be in these War Games matches. Let's start with the Bloodline. Obviously, we have Roman Reigns. We have the Usos, right? Jimmy and Jay Uso, that's 3. Solo Sikoa is now added. And Sami Zayn is an honorary Us. There's 5 men on the Bloodline side. And a lot of people are like, well, you got to take Sami Zayn out of the Bloodline. He's going to be on the opposing team to go against the Bloodline. No, I'm going to use the War Games match to completely sell this story and then do the breakup of the Bloodline and Sami Zayn. The War Games is going to be the catalyst for that. So that's what I'm doing. If I'm booking this thing, I'm leaving Sami Zayn in this thing, and I'm doing 5-on-5 for both the men and the women matches. So we got the Bloodline with Sami Zayn. Obviously against Drew McIntyre. Obviously against Kevin Owens. We've seen the Street Profits get involved with the Usos, so that's Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. That's 4. We need a 5th on the babyface side. It could be a Seth Rollins. It could be a Matt Riddle. I don't know what they got going on there, how long that feud is going to be on television between those 2 guys. Why don't we add Braun Strowman to the mix? Braun Strowman has a history with Roman Reigns. Braun Strowman has a history with Drew McIntyre. So why not get Braun Strowman in that contained environment? This is where the Braun Strowman act is going to thrive, in a contained environment like War Games. That is what I'm thinking about. Plus, like I said, the added history with Roman Reigns, I mean, it's a no-brainer. So we got the Bloodline with Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and the story between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn being kicked out of the Bloodline is going to be the catalyst there at War Games. That's going to start it off, and hopefully we get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos for the tag team titles. Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, and then Braun Strowman, a perfect mix of chaos in the War Games match for the men. Now, the ladies, We obviously see what's going on with TV. We got Bianca Belair and Bayley still feuding over the Women's Championship. Damage Control and Bianca Belair and her group of girls. This is Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and Bayley. It's 3 right now against Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss. That's 3-on-3 right now. A lot of people are being misinformed on Twitter. Oh, I would do this and I would do that. You know, people are bringing me 3-man groups versus 3-man groups or 3 women groups versus 3 women groups. Now, we're not going to do 3-on-3. War Games is either 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. So we're obviously going to have to add to some of these factions. Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. And then, with this show taking place in Boston, I'm adding Sasha Banks and Naomi on the heel side. Yes, on the heel side. So we got Damage Control, Sasha Banks, and Naomi on one side versus Bianca Belair, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Raquel Rodriguez, and Shotzi Blackheart, which we just saw the beginnings of on SmackDown, 5-on-5. Now, Becky Lynch, does she factor into this? I don't know how long Becky Lynch is going to be out. Becky Lynch could be back before Survivor Series. She would obviously make sense in this thing, but I don't really think she'll be back for Survivor Series, so I'm booking this right now without Becky Lynch being included, and I think they wait to bring Becky Lynch back closer to the Royal Rumble. 5-on-5, War Games, men and women, that's what I'm doing. I love the fact that I called this out before anybody. I love the fact that this is being brought back, and I love the fact that Survivor Series is now once again, for the first time in God knows how long, is once again must-see on WWE television. I can't fucking wait for this. If you guys loved the NXT War Games matches, imagine what Triple H is going to be capable of doing on the main roster with a bigger budget and more talent at his disposal, man. This is a brilliant idea. And change is upon us, and I absolutely fucking love it. This is something we would have never been talking about under the Vince McMahon administration. The White Rabbit. Apparently, WWE's playing Jefferson Airplane White Rabbit at several house shows coming out of Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday night shows in California. The White Rabbit mystery has been attributed to some on social media as being Bray Wyatt. It has now been solved. The mystery is now solved. On Friday Night SmackDown during a commercial break, White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane played in the arena. WWE's continued to play this song at live events during the weekend. This has led speculation about Bray Wyatt's return, but as noted on Friday night, this could be for Karrion Kross because Karrion Kross was known as the White Rabbit when he was in Lucha Underground. On Twitter, Kross appeared to have confirmed that the White Rabbit song has something to do with him. One tweet shows a gif of a laughing Psycho Sid under a graphic tweeted out by a fan that says, "Follow the White Rabbit." The graphic includes Kross holding a rabbit in his hands. Another fan tweeted, "What is this White Rabbit at Real Killer Kross? I've seen people talk about this as of late. Feel like I'm missing something here, LOL." Kross responded, "Flattered to be remembered for that. Keep watching. Assume nothing." In another tweet, Kross responded to a fan who was happy that he killed the Bray Wyatt rumors. Kross tweeted this, and I quote, "Call me a killer, guilty as charged. However, I wouldn't look to me as a suspect for any of this. I'm an innocent killer. People are reaching for answers, and I have no idea what to grasp for. Keep watching and have fun. That's what I'm doing." So he basically dumbed down the rumors as far as what is going on here. He says it may not have nothing to do with him, and he didn't really give a straight answer. He's not going to give you a straight answer, but what I got from this is that he basically said, "Call me a killer, guilty as charged. I wouldn't look to me as a suspect for any of this," is what he says. So is he basically telling everybody, hey, guys, I was at one point the White Rabbit in Lucha Underground. Now turn your attention to Bray Wyatt without actually mentioning Bray Wyatt. This is a very interesting piece of news. Triple H is not going to go out there and do something without a plan. The fact that this song has been played and has not been played before this 3 days in a row is leading to something for someone on WWE television. And the way Triple H is handling it by having this happen at house shows in the most, I wouldn't say the most secretive way, but he's leaving little crumbs. He's leaving breadcrumbs for fans to really get excited about. Obviously, he knew this would kick off on social media because everybody's got access to a mobile device. All you got to do is take a video or a picture of something and put it online, and boom, it goes viral. And then it gets people talking. He's got people talking. This is a great maneuver, a great tactic to generate interest in whatever the fuck he's got going on. So the White Rabbit, yes, Kross played White Rabbit in Lucha Underground. Yes, Kross has had a White Rabbit in his hand in this graphic that we saw on social media, but that doesn't mean it's Karrion Kross. A lot of people are saying maybe that has something to do with Karrion Kross's theme music being changed. No, why would they change his theme music? Why would they take an already perfect presentation of Karrion Kross and change it with something that people aren't familiar with? This obviously is leading to something else. So I'm going to leave Kross out of the discussion here. It is not Karrion Kross. So obviously the prime suspect now is Bray Wyatt. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to sit back and watch what unfolds. And that's the great thing about Triple H. Unpredictable. You never know what he's got up his sleeve. And finally, guys, backstage news on why Roman Reigns and Logan Paul has been booked for Saudi Arabia Crown Jewel. Meltzer talked about this last night on Sunday night's main event on TSN Radio. He says this, and I quote, "He's a big deal in Saudi Arabia. He's a big deal to the Saudi Arabian prince. And that's the whole thing for these shows." Meltzer added this also, and I quote, "Nothing to do with ticket sales. Selling tickets is not anything for Crown Jewel. It means nothing. It's not even part of the game. Of course, TV numbers matter. If he draws younger viewers, that's good. But it's not a play for TV ratings. It is a play because the prince wants celebrity fights in Saudi Arabia to build a name in the media of the Saudi Arabian government, and Logan Paul will get more of the types of press that Saudi Arabia is looking for rather than a Kevin Owens or a Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns. That's what Saudi Arabia is there for. Saudi Arabia is for the matches that the prince wants, and that will get press attention around the world for Saudi Arabia. So this is a great match for that, for them," end quote. There are no plans for Roman Reigns to lose the championship. Anybody thinking that Logan Paul is going to win the championship is a blithering idiot. They are a fool. It will not happen. There were rumors that Roman Reigns is not scheduled to lose any of the titles, even though WWE would like him to be champion going into Mania, but would like to take one of the belts off of him and put the belt back on Monday Night Raw, the WWE title. He's not losing before WrestleMania. And this is strictly for the Saudi Arabian government. It's great. I understand that. But you're wasting 6 or 7 weeks of my TV time building this is the biggest match for the show. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. It's had a nothing show. It's just for the Saudi government. But you're wasting my television time. You're wasting my precious weekly television time to sell something for a match that ultimately you're telling me means nothing. I don't give a shit about Saudi Arabia. Neither do you. Most of us, if not all of us, would never even go and visit Saudi Arabia. We'll never visit Saudi Arabia in this lifetime or the next lifetime. Who gives a shit? I don't give a shit about their social media numbers. I don't give a shit what, press Saudi Arabia gets. You're wasting my fucking time here in the States. And that's all that matters. That is a lame excuse. That is the bottom of the barrel excuse. Nobody gives a fuck about Saudi Arabia and the press that the prince wants for Saudi Arabia. Give me a break. That's not the reason to do the match, and that's not really a justification on why this match, in WWE's eyes, needs to be shielded as, oh my God, a major match. No, it doesn't make any sense, and it's fucking lame. Anyway, guys, that is all I got. Let me know what you think of the War Games situation down below. If you do love this decision, let me know. Sound off. The comment section is yours. Hit that thumbs up. 1,000 likes minimum on today's OTS Extra. Follow me on social media at JD206. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. And make sure you guys go out there. And again, the bell on notifications. I'll be live for Monday Night Raw tonight on YouTube right here on OTS. Guys, I will see you all later tonight for Monday Night Raw. Have a great Mondays. Let me know what you think of War Games, and I'll see you guys tonight live on Off the Script.